Jeb is juiced, and here Republicans tell it the chairman is loaded for bear. Jeb Hensarling heads the House Financial Services Committee, the very same committee that will be holding what stands to be an explosive IRS hearing, this time asking Treasury Secretary Jack Lew what authorities and the White House itself knew, and maybe when they knew it. Mr. Chairman, what didn't you hear today you want to get answers from these guys tomorrow?
Well, Neil, you know, where do we start? I mean, I think you may have heard that tomorrow Lois Lerner
She's pleading the fifth.
She's pleading the fifth for leading an IRS division that trampled on the first. We continue to hear a different story from some segment of the administration with each passing day.
Yeah, but what do you do when the person who is the center of all of this isn't talking, isn't answering your questions? I mean, what do you do?
I think it's just a matter of time, Neil, before people come forward to expose the source of all this. We still don't know who originally issued the order, who approved this activity. And again, you know, the American people are outraged, and you would think it's nice to know they haven't lost their ability to be outraged, because again, this is the most feared agency of government trampling upon our most sacred rights. I think it's a matter of time, and Chairman Issa, who heads up our Committee on Oversight Investigations, will be very methodical. But, you know, I'm interested in speaking to our new Secretary of Treasury. I don't precisely know what he knew and when he knew it, but if, you know, what it appears is that there is a culture to keep bad news from going to the president or his then chief of staff. You know, any organization I've been with, Neil, bad news needs to travel fast, and these are guys who are saying hear no evil, see no evil in order to insulate them. That's unacceptable, and I want to ask the Secretary, going forward, you know, what is going to be an acceptable activity now that you're taking over the IRS, and when you were in charge of the White House for the president for a full year, you know, how could you have not known this? Why did you have a culture that when such a serious charge was being leveled, you seemingly were unaware of it?
Well, you know, you're right. I'm no lawyer, Congressman, but the one thing that struck me as odd, and maybe there's a legal defense and rationale for it, is when the White House chief counsel knows that the Inspector General is about to release a report saying that IRS was targeting conservative groups, but doesn't want to pass it on to the president for fear that it would look like he's immersing and maybe meddling in an issue. Then I began thinking, well, what else do they hold off from the chief? Because I always tend to think that presidents know everything. They know everything, and this would place his counsel above him as knowing more stuff than he does. So on that level alone, it bothers me. I can understand the legal rationale. People could come back and say, oh, the president was hiding something, but it's not as if ignorance is bliss here. So, you know, that's what confuses me.
Well, again, the American people want to know, why is our commander-in-chief, why is the chief executive learning about this from the newspaper at the time when the rest of the American people learn about it? Why is it that the House has asked these questions for over 2 years, Neil? 2 years, and all we've gotten was stonewalling from the IRS, and the president and his then chief of staff, now Secretary of Treasury, Jack Lew, says, you know, I knew nothing.
Well, maybe you need a special prosecutor, because if witnesses aren't going to talk to you, answer your questions, maybe the only solution is a special prosecutor.
Well, the House has the authority to subpoena witnesses, and again, we will see where this goes with our House Ways and Means and our House Oversight and Investigations Committee. But the American people, you know, who sent us here, they're demanding answers, and Neil, it goes beyond the IRS, because now the IRS is combining with the HHS to oversee the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, creating some of the largest databases on individuals.
And by the way, the same HHS, and you're an encyclopedia with this, sir, but the same Health and Human Services Department that has now hit up private companies like H&R Block or the Johnson Foundation to pay for promoting a law that might have gone against that law. So it's a mess.
It is a total mess, and we're not getting answers from the administration, and we will get answers, and there will have to be accountability. And I think the American people are waking up to the fact that, you know, this is really the case of how government can get too big, too expensive, too intrusive, too powerful, and frankly too arrogant. for the American people. It's a real wake-up call.
Well, I enjoy watching your questioning because you're relentless but never obnoxious, which is, I aspire to that myself, but I rarely succeed, Chairman. But thank you very much, sir. Very good to see you.
Thank you, Neil.
Well, they died.